Hi everyone, I'm Marshall Carper, and yeah, it's Monday, so it's time for another episode of Marketing Monday. Today I want to talk to you about your content. So if you follow my stuff, you know that I'm a content marketing guy. You know that I love all things content, from books to blog posts, social media, podcasts, videos, video games. I love what content can do for the customer experience, what it can do for marketing, and what it can do for engagement at all levels of your business. So definitely a bit biased here, but there's a lot of opportunities with your content, but I see a lot of people overlooking or avoiding those opportunities because content, frankly, can be pretty time consuming and sometimes kind of expensive to develop. Getting a blog post written, getting a video produced, this can take a lot of work. So the mistake that I see that you can correct in your own business, even if you're not working directly with me, is that people are doing content as one-off pieces. They're not really milking all of the ROI that they can out of one piece of content. What you should be thinking about instead is if you make one thing, how can you chop and slice and dice and repurpose pieces of that so that you get as much traffic, as much mileage out of it as you possibly can? So for example, if you're going to do a blog post, great, blog post goes on your website. That's one place you're going to use it. You can put it in your email newsletter. That's awesome. Maybe you can spin it so it's both a nurture piece for people that haven't bought from you and also a retention piece for people that haven't. So 2 messages for the same piece of content. So that's 3 ways we're using one piece of content already. Becomes a social media post to promote the blog post itself. Cool. That's useful. You can turn it into like an e-card where you're pulling a quote or an interesting piece of content and putting it on like an infographic kind of mini piece of mini graphic that looks good on Instagram or Facebook. That's another way you can slice and dice the same piece of content. Then you can break it down even more. Maybe you turn it into like a video where you're animating the high points and you're setting it to a little bit of music. So it's still the same content and using some quick tools like Lumen is pretty good for Facebook videos where you can repurpose the blog content and kind of tell it in a visual way. And suddenly that blog post has been used in half a dozen different mediums and half a dozen different applications, but it's still the same piece of content. And I promise if you look at everything that you're doing in terms of content, that opportunity exists across the board. So take advantage of it because it's really powerful to make your budget a lot more efficient. So thanks for watching. This has been Marketing Monday.